Hello friends, I am the anti-terrorist. Big subject today and a long broadcast, so I'll crack on. But before I do, I'd like to address one email in particular. I've been accused of spreading 9/11 disinformation, so I feel I just need to address that. Now, what the person is saying I said is that we should not be talking about 9/11 at all, and that's not true. What I actually said was 9/11 as proof of New World Order is not a plausible argument, and we don't have enough facts to back that up. Now, what I will say in addition to that regarding the 9/11 and the New World Order conversation is that it's a little bit like finding yourself on a train track with a high-speed train rushing towards you and spending those few valuable seconds of your life wondering if you were pushed or whether you just fell, instead of trying to get out of the way of the train or trying to have it stopped. Because the New World Order and all that it entails is that train. And we are looking around to see whether we were pushed in front of it or whether we just fell in front of it. So as I said last week, essentially someone has to come out of the woodwork and prove 9/11 was an inside job, because all the talking about it and all of the infighting about it is distracting us from the train that is heading our way pretty fast. This broadcast, I'm going to focus on the RFID chip. I'm not going to spend a lot of time educating you on what it is, because I think even the debunkers and the pro-New Worlders know exactly what it is. Let's deal with the cashless society first. I've had quite a few people tell me that a cashless society will never work. It's not going to be the case. Cash is always going to be in circulation, and what they'll probably do is they'll put some RFID chips in the cash. However, let me just show you a couple of clips from, say, Australia and England, for instance, where the cashless society is already beginning.
We're going to be talking about cash, or rather the lack of cash. A cup of coffee and a newspaper on the way to work, a sandwich at lunchtime. We carry around a lot of cash to pay for all these transactions, or we have to whip out our bank card and use a chip and PIN. What would you say if you could pay for all these things by simply touching a card to a reader? From September, major banks, including HSBC and Halifax, will be issuing bank cards which allow you to do that. Will your pennies be quite as safe as if they were in your pocket? Well, Ron Del Novo is Managing Director of Bank Machine. He joins me now. Ron, just explain how this would work. Would it actually come from, would it be a top-up system, or would it actually come straight out of your account?
No, it would be a reissue of all debit cards in the country, basically. There are about 70 million debit cards, and all of them would be reissued with this facility.
But there would be some kind of limit on how much you could spend on each transaction?
Well, to start with, they're talking about £10, but already there are financial services conferences taking place where they're debating, can this be increased to perhaps £75 without the use of a PIN?
Now, there's obviously a security problem. A security problem? Is there a problem?
Well, it's a little bizarre, isn't it? Because the banks have spent years convincing us that we had to stop just handing our credit card over and signing, that it was desperately necessary to have PIN numbers to protect security. Now they're saying, well, we've done all of that, and we're going to go back and we're going to actually have cards where you don't need a PIN number. I can't believe the banks are doing this for our benefit. I mean, that would be a bit like Alonso and Hamilton exchanging eternity rings. I think they're doing it for their own benefit to increase their profits in the end.
There is an advantage there, obviously, over cash. I mean, it is more convenient, isn't it?
Not as far as we can see.
I mean, you have a vested interest. I mean, you do represent the bank machines which put cash into your hand.
This isn't a turkey's not voting for Christmas story. This is about the public, and that's me and you. We actually used cash to pay for about 70% of all transactions last year. Cash is what people like using. The banks don't like cash because they can't make so much money out of it. They want us to have more and more plastic cards. We've got about 170 million plastic cards in this country now. That's more than enough. The public have always said, no, we like cards, they have their place, but we want to rely on cash. But the banks don't like that because there's not as much profit in cash as cards.
What could the banks do to convince the public, do you think, that this might work?
Well, they could do the same as Ken Livingstone done with the Oyster card. They could make things more expensive if you use cash. So if people go into shops and find Mars bars are less expensive when you use a card, that would be the kind of discount that might appeal to people. But basically, I don't believe they're going to do that. And from the survey we've carried out, the public don't want to use these cards. Only 15% of people said that they were very likely to use these cards. And that, of course, is borne out by the statistic that most transactions are still made using cash.
Will they have the option to say no, do you think?
No, they will not have the option, and that's another thing. 40% of people said they would like to switch this facility off. But at the moment, there's no plans to give them that option. They'll have to have this facility.
Did you hear that? You will have to have this facility. This is not an option. This is not an opt-in enterprise. This is something that you will have to take, or you'll have nothing.
3 million Australians are about to get next-generation credit cards that don't need a signature for small purchases. The tap-and-go technology can even be built into watches or phones, making for a much quicker trip to the corner shop.
No more PIN codes, signatures or digging around for loose change. Just tap and go. It's called PayPass, and it's a new way of buying the smaller things. Even fast food could become faster. The Commonwealth Bank is rolling out PayPass credit cards this year. Westpac is also trialling the new technology. Normal interest rates apply, but Australians are expected to embrace the change.
They find it quick and easy to use, really safe and secure, and a bit of fun.
And fashionable too. Though it will start with credit cards, PayPass can also be put in wristbands, mobile phones, even watches. And if the card is stolen,
our normal security processes will pick the unusual usage up and the card will be stopped.
if PayPass takes off here, there'll be a lot less cash around, and eventually there may be no need for it at all. But shopkeepers say they'll only take on the system if the price is right.
Depending on the charges.
Depending on the charges, they're trying to eliminate cash and control us all with RFID chips. And he's worried about how much the government are going to charge him to be able to use this technology. Mate, you don't have to worry about the charges. It's going to be free for you, Mr. Australian coffee vendor. If not free, it's going to be very cheap, so I wouldn't worry about that. Because they need to sell you this technology. They need to have you buy into it. So they're not going to make it expensive. It's going to be cheap enough so that all vendors are going to want it. And they're going to take it with open arms because it means they can rake in a few extra pence or a few extra cents per minute. Incredible. The cashless society is coming, whether you like it or not. You don't have much choice. They want to get rid of the cash because they can make much more money without it circulating. So let's kill that argument right now. No more questions about that, please. I think I've proved my point. There is a lot of information out there that will have you be sure, with no doubt at all, that the cash society is going to be here within 5 to 10 years. 10 years maximum. They want everything in place by 2012. That's a whole other subject. So let's look at the chip. And just to get you in the mood, let's have a look at one going in. Let's see how they fit one for you.
One there.
That sends shivers down my spine every time I see it. And you know what? There'll be people queuing up to get that done. Let's take a brief look at some of the propaganda and some of the conversations and the arguments they're using to sell it to us.
We have a Florida family who are really pioneers in a brave new world. They have volunteered to be the first ever to have microchip identification devices implanted into their body.
After 9/11, I was really concerned with the security of my family.
They have to find a better way to identify the bad guys, or the rest of us are going to stay home and watch the world go by on televisions. But we need some system for permanently identifying safe people. Most of us are never going to blow anything up, and there's got to be something better than one of these photo IDs, a tattoo somewhere maybe. The Saudis used an American device to scan the eyes of travelers. I wouldn't mind having something planted permanently in my arm that would identify me. If we don't do something, people are going to stop flying. If they stop flying, and I don't go to the Giants games, it means the bastards have won.
Do you know how to keep your children safe? We'll tell you tonight.
In the next year, you'll be able to use your teen's cell phone to locate them 24/7. Younger children will get a small global positioning device hidden in their wristwatch or backpack. And just around the next high-tech corner, an electronic chip like this that can be implanted under your kid's skin.
Is there anything, technologically speaking, that they can do that could help in a situation like a kidnapping? Is there, for example, a microchip, a watch, a tracking device we can use for our kids?
We are working on a product that we have called internally a PLD. PLD stands for Personal Locating Device. which is an implantable GPS for which our company owns a patent and can be implanted surgically in the clavicle area of a child or someone that you are interested in tracking. It is the first implantable microchip for humans that has multiple security, financial, and healthcare applications.
I have a question. Indulge me. Let's say that we're well into this whole chipping process, and that you've decided that you're going to get your beautiful children chipped because you want to keep them safe. And if you have a beautiful son or daughter, as I do, you want to make sure that you know where they are.